I got a 2007 BMW 750 Li. Although this procedure should be the same for all of the BMW E65, E66 cars, which if I remember correctly, it's 2002 through 2008. This one in particular has the N62TU, the technology updated engine, but should be the same. So my crankshaft position sensor is bad. And I'm just going to show you a quick video of how to pull it. I've already done most of the fun here. I've already pulled it apart, but let me show you how I did it. So you're going to need an Allen head. It's like 5, I guess. Allen size 5. I'm not too familiar with the Allens, but basically. So you got that, and then you got the whatever size is going to be for your... Sorry, I'm getting under the car. So you have like the splash shield over there. I've already pulled it. You got just a couple of bolts all across. Yeah, see that? Got bolts right there. For me, it was a 16 millimeter. But so this is where the sensor was, crankshaft position sensor. I've already pulled it. So the issue with my car was my sensor actually got soaking wet with antifreeze. See how this car's leaking oil and antifreeze? It's a mess under here. So that actually drifted onto my sensor and it broke it. You can see what my sensor looks like right here. See that? It's dirty. See how dirty that is? This thing was throwing a check engine light very, very quickly. Another thing too. See that? I think it might have exploded the part. I think it might have shorted it out because see how it's like melted in there? And then when I pulled the pigtail, that pin actually is stuck in there. You see that? That pin broke. It's like fried in there. And so I'm going to get me a new sensor. I'm also going to get me a new part. And I'll show how to replace this because I'm not going to reuse this. I'm going to replace it when I get my sensor. I'm just doing research on that crankshaft position sensor part. This is the part number that I got off of this sensor. When I actually called the dealership though, they're telling me that it's supposed to be this part. They gave me that part number there. So I don't know what's going on here. You can see this part, this sensor here, it looks pretty similar in the picture. When you look at the fitment, it says this goes for the 2007, oh no, sorry, 750 Li from 2006 to 2007, 8. I'm pretty sure once we get to 2009, it's the other engine, it's the turbocharged engine. So I need to do more research on this and figure out what's going on here. I called up the dealership to see what the situation is between this part number and the part number that was on here. Apparently it's the same part. That's what the guy told me, so this part will work. One thing you might notice is that this crank position sensor does not have a O-ring. This one does. This is like some aftermarket part. So I did some research on that. Apparently, I think this sensor might be a similar thing for like the cam position sensor or something like that. And for the cams, they actually will use the O-ring. But for the crank position sensor, you're better off not doing it. There was a guy that I researched that did just go ahead and throw an O-ring on this crank position sensor. And he was having issues where the O-ring was interfering with the signal and he couldn't get his car to run right. So he had to pull the O-ring off. You know, honestly, the part from the factory didn't have the O-ring, so I'm just going to do what they did from the factory. When I called the dealership to get the part number for the pigtail that was damaged, they gave me this part number. They told me it was this part, and it is not. This is the incorrect part. I'm guessing this might have worked for the older model, like the regular N62 non-technology updated engine, but I have no idea. This is the correct part. And you can see, so you got your part number there. This is like for the whole kit right there. If you scroll down, it basically includes one of the socket housing. It's part number there. Sealing grommets, part number. Electrical pin connector, part number there. And it wouldn't be a terrible idea to get a couple extra electrical pin connectors just in case you damage one. The part I'm working on now is a little bit of a tough spot. I did not show it, but I removed this clip thing from there. Basically, it's really easy the way that you do it, but I'll kind of show you. See that? So you got that clip right there that you can see. And then you have the other clip right there. You just get a pick. It's not adjusting. Okay. You just get a pick and you just kind of pull it back and then just open it as you know, whatever way makes sense. One thing about this part, I've been trying to get a hold of this piece from the dealership, and I've told them that part number, where is it? The part number here, you cannot see it. Yeah, the dealership cannot find that part. So whatever you do, do not break this little plastic piece. You're not going to be able to find another one. But anyways, so this is the pigtail connection that's actually broken. You can see it's got a code on there. There's one on the other side as well. Let's see. What is that code? What is that? 75075. What is that? 25? There it goes. 75075. That connection that I ordered came in 3 bags. You got your 3 rubber pieces, your actual connector. You got 3 of these, which it might have been a good idea to order at least 1 or 2 spares of these. They're not expensive, but I don't know. I guess I'm being a little bit risky. One thing about this, you do not want to let that thing get squeezed, because when you close this part, it breaks a piece of plastic and you can never open it again without breaking it. And you just have to buy another one of these basically if you close this thing accidentally. So do not do that. Okay, so I'm taking a video of the wire color so I can know where everything goes. I'm doing this for the video as much as I am for my own personal reference. You got the orange at the far left. That middle connection is that striped one. And then we got the yellow on the right. Okay. I'm going to make an attempt to pull these wires out without cutting the actual wires at all. I'm hoping I can just break that connector open and then pull the wires out pull the metal things out without actually cutting the wires, but we'll see how it goes. I'm disconnecting the battery on the car so that I can actually start pulling wires. The BMW puts them in the trunk. I'll show you this. So basically, you just have that lever, you pull that, pull it out. You got your fuse box, whatever. Batteries underneath here. There it is, right there. See that? I think in order to pull this all the way, you have to actually, oh yeah, you do have to. You have to pull like all this trunk stuff out. You have to pull the spare tire out, and then you can slide the battery that way. But we don't necessarily have to pull the battery out. We just need to unplug it. So pro tip, I just barely unplugged the battery. This trunk is electrically actuated, and I don't want to deal with opening the trunk without any like voltage to the battery or anything. So I'm putting that glove there so that I can have the trunk sit and not close all the way. So I used a screwdriver. I picked that thing open. I think that's interesting. You can see that middle terminal. It looks like it went up, and you can see it also went up on that rubber thing. See that? That middle terminal is kind of weird. Okay, so what I did, let's see, can you see that? No, you can't. Okay, yes, you can see this. Okay, so I just got my pair of dikes. You can see I just chopped away right there. Oh, this thing doesn't want to focus. See, I just chopped away right there. And it actually is letting me just pull these wires out now. I believe I can pull these out and pull these metal terminals off of the wire without actually trimming the wire. Okay. So I went ahead and I chopped away at the sensor. But you can see I didn't actually hit the wire. See that? Right where that wire starts, that's where my cutting ended, and I did that for all of them. I basically had to just slowly chew away at this. Just being careful not to cut the actual wire like I keep repeating. It wasn't too hard to do that, honestly. It just took a little bit. Now I'm going to pull these off. I'm going to figure out how to pull these metal things off without damaging that wire, and then I'm going to crimp my new ones back on there. Okay, so I did end up having to cut the actual wire a bit. I didn't cut it very much. I have these ones ready to go. They're stripped off. Notice how this length is not that much. This is about as much as I had to trim off of the wire. But I don't know, I think I'll be fine. I don't think I've shortened this wire too much. So when you get this, you have to, it's that thing right there, you have to bend this part off. I'll show you, I'll break it and then I'll show you what it's supposed to look like. Okay, see that? You break it off like that. Okay, so what I've done here is I'm trying to see which one of these holes, I guess sizes, is going to be the one that I'm going to use. So I got this old thing that oh, this thing does not want to zoom. Okay, yeah, you see that? This was from the old wire that I had to clip. See how small that thing is? I'm using this, I'm putting it in each of these holes or sizes, and I'm seeing which one is going to be the correct size. I did that, and it's actually going to be the smallest size here, which is 2422. Alright, you can barely see it. See how that 2422, see how I have it thing in there? I can smash down and it literally fits it perfectly. So that's what I'm going to use. See, I'm going to open this, see that? Another thing to notice is, okay, let's see. Let's see if it'll zoom. Yeah, it is trying to. So see the bottom part of this? See how it's like round? Yeah, you can see that. It's round. And then this part right here, it's got that, I don't know what you would call it. It almost looks like an M. So this piece here, I'm crimping down. Let's see. Yes, I'm crimping down this part right there. That's the part that's crimping down. And I'll show you in the next clip what it's supposed to look like inside the actual tool. Okay, you see that? This is how it is. The round part is obviously at the round part of the electrical connector that I'm replacing. And then the M part is obviously going to press those two things down. Okay, now I'm seeing which one of these sizes is going to fit the rubber thing best, and it's looking like it's going to be the 18-14. See that? See how it just fits pretty nicely. Okay, I got all these done. I wish I could show you how I did it, but it was just way too tight. But basically what I did is I got the electrical connection all situated inside of my tool. Let me grab that. Basically, with my right hand, I got the connector thing in this tool, and I had it to where it was like down touching, but it was holding it, and I had to be careful not to squeeze, because if I squeezed it would just crimp nothing and the connector would be busted. But basically I had this tool in my right hand. I had the connector squeezed enough just to hold it, and then after, with my left hand, I put the wire through, got it all situated, and then I squeezed with my right hand. And that's exactly how I did it. And then I did the same thing with the crimp, the green things. And the green things, it was just the 18-14 like I found earlier. That's how it worked. This really wasn't that bad to do, surprisingly. But now I need to go to the next step, which is sticking these electrical connectors in the actual pigtail connector housing thing, whatever it's called. And with that one, I need to just go back through my video and see what the wiring schematic was. One thing to note, apparently, see this. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but apparently, when you press it down through the electrical connector, yeah, you can see it. This thing is going to click. It's going to press down on the metal thing, and then it's going to click. And then that's how you know when it's in. But I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so look at that wire schematic. I got these in, and when you press them in all the way, you can actually hear it click. See that metal part in there? You can see it clip. You know, you can see it clip and you can hear it clip. You can see it better right there. So now I'm ready to actually close this. Maybe I'll do it on camera. Once you close this, that thing's gonna break, and you only got one shot of that. There it goes. I cannot reopen this. It's completely sealed. Okay, yeah, we're good. All right. Okay, so I'm skipping ahead to the end here. So I cleaned out this part, like the sensor part. Cleaned that all out with a paper towel. I put Loctite on here, just blue Loctite. You really do want to do it. And then I put this sensor housing thing back on. I couldn't find the actual part number for this. Obviously, there's a part number on the part. When you Google it, you get nothing, and so you just have to, maybe somebody can track it down, basically call the dealership, tell them this part number, and then they'll tell you what the part number is for when you go and buy it. I don't know why it wouldn't just be that, but it's not. But yeah, so this is all done. I got it plugged in. So now I'm just gonna plug in the battery and start this thing up and see how it does. So I got this old sensor replaced. You can see this one actually had a coolant on it. This car has a coolant leak, and that's what caused the sensor to blow up in the first place. And so, yeah, the sensor is replaced, but the job is not actually done yet. I really need to diagnose my coolant leak first. One thing to note about this job, when I first started the engine after doing the repair, it still said the transmission was having issues, and it still said that the check engine light was on for the crank position sensor. I had to run the car for a bit in order for it to, I guess, reprogram and realize that the sensor was giving a good signal. I had a code reader and I cleared the codes, but even that was being kind of funky. I had to drive it around even with that, and I would clear the codes, but it was coming right back. I don't know, it was just really weird. But at this point, the car is running good again. The sensor itself is good, but yeah, I can't just drive it as is, because the water leak is going to just blow up the new sensor all over again. And so at this point, I need to figure out why my car is leaking antifreeze and then do that repair. I found my water leak. Basically, it's the, I don't know the name of the part, but there's like a cover that's like right underneath this intake manifold. It's like a cover with an O-ring all around it. Basically, when you look down into the valleyway, you can see it's actually wet with coolant. I don't know how good the video is going to pick this up, but in person I can actually see wet blue coolant down there. And so basically, that part is leaking and it's dripping down the transmission and it's just going all over my crank sensor. And so in order to do this job entirely, I have to fix this coolant leak, because otherwise I'm just going to keep blowing out my sensors. So there's a couple of things that can cause a coolant leak in the back of the engine like that. Most likely it's going to be this valley pan gasket cover thing. It's right underneath the intake manifold. And as you can see, this is a decently involved job getting to it. This is what the part costs right now on FCP Euro. This is it. It's possible that it's also this piece. It would be really unfortunate if it is this piece. This is like behind the transmission and behind the flywheel. So see that? You got to pull the flywheel to get this, and it's this thing right here. See these bolts? The actual part is not really expensive. It's that piece right there. Yeah, you got to pull the transmission or the engine to do this. And then apparently there's some other things on the back of the engine that it could be, you know, like some hoses or something like that that goes to the heads of the engine. You can't see it, but here's another really good view where that cover is actually pulled off. You can see that coolant transfer pipe that everybody always talks about. And then it is possible that some of these hoses can be leaking. I guess hoses or pipes or whatever. I'm pretty sure there's O-rings right there. And then I think they go and connect to something in the valleyway. That's what it looks like. And then I think there's one on the other side of the head.